VAX solution, we can get the military, the Mexican army to escort a load.
Really? And is that unique? Like, how do you have to have like a special connection to get that, or?
No, you hire them as a service.
You hire the Mexican army, so you could hire the Mexican army to escort freight inside of Mexico. I want to quickly touch on this topic because I think it's something that also people in America are curious about, is like the safety of like intra-Mexico freight. And also I know there's like cross-border freight. Like yesterday I was talking to Roberto and he was telling me about stories about like escorts, doing like the coyote loads to the US. And like, how does it look like when you're doing loads from Guadalajara to Mexico City or Monterrey? Like, do you oftentimes need to get an escort to like actually, make sure to secure the freight, making sure that no one will, maybe steal it, stuff like that? How does that look?
It's something that we all get worried about, right? Because it's not just the commodity, it's not just the load, it's a driver. It's a guy who drives a truck who exposes their life. That is part of the shortage problem in Mexico because it's dangerous. So people don't want to drive anymore. And they want to provide, ex-drivers want to provide that different levels of education to their kids. They are not teaching their kids to be a driver anymore. So that's kind of a part of the problem. But we gotta be really careful of commodities. You got commodities more exposed than others. So usually the groceries commodities are the ones who are more exposed, more easy to move for the thief to take from one place to another market and sell it the whole truck. So we gotta be really careful with the dispatch hours. We gotta be really careful of what the commodity is and get the proper guarding. I mean, in VAX solution, we can get the military, the Mexican army to escort a load.
Really?
Yeah.
You get the Mexican, and is that unique? Like, how do you have to have like a special connection to get that, or?
No, you hire them as a service.
You hire the Mexican army, so you could hire the Mexican army to escort freight inside of Mexico.
I just saw on the highway on the weekend. I was coming from my town to Guadalajara, and I saw these. I don't know how you call it, guys. This truck that moved the cars. We call it madrinas.
Towing truck or tow car?
But the big one.
Did it have like a tank or like an army vehicle in the back?
No, the one that moved all the cars.
Auto haulers?
Like the auto transport companies. Like if you want to ship your car from...
Yeah, like auto haulers, no?
Yeah, it's like
auto haulers, yeah.
I saw the two of them being custody for the Mexican army.
So do you decide as a broker if you need an escort, or does the shipper or the customer tell you, like, we need an escort?
We advise. We advise to get an escort. And there are some commodities that if they don't get the escort, we don't move the load. We're not gonna get exposed to the driver. We're not
so that they pay for it. It doesn't come out of your margin or whatever. Like you got to tell the customer.
I can provide that service. I have a good I'd say carriers, escort carriers.
Okay.
So we can provide that service. We can provide also insurance liability per load. In Mexico, that is really important. So carriers doesn't have liability as in the States. So the commodity owners got to hire their own insurance to move the freight. And as a carrier, we're not responsible of the commodity during the transit. So the carrier is responsible of a certain percentage by law, but it's really low.
So that also kind of leaves room for them to kind of like try to like sell it or get, their freight stolen. It's like, hey, I don't have liability for this. So like, do you think that happens?
That is one of the key parts of the carrier sales team in Intra-Mexico, to audit all the carriers that we're working with, like make sure it's legit thing, because there's a lot of thief. As much as the States, I've heard you guys in the States been struggling with that. And we also just hire Highway as well to.
Oh, nice. You use Highway?
Yeah, we use Highway.
Shout out to Highway. They sponsor Freight Caviar.
Oh,
so.
Really? It's a really nice platform. We love that.
What do you use to audit them? Like, how do you know if they're legit?
Go physically.
Oh.
Yeah. Make sure the yard exists. Make sure this carrier got all the paperwork and some compliance process that we run through. They gotta match many papers. We have a credit score as well for them to see if they pay their bills or not.
Yeah.
The old school way, just showing up at the doorstep.
I love that.
Yeah.
I wish we like we did that more in the US, you know, like showing up at the doorstep.
And one thing I would love to point out is that when we walked in here, you were showing us where everyone sit, and you said, "Yeah, this is our sales team," and it was a row of empty desks, and you're like, "They should never be here. They should be out visiting customers."
We run a smooth strategy on sales. Right now, our 60% of our volume is in intra-Mexico freight, and 40% is cross-border.
Cross-border, okay.
Cross-border. We've got some percentage of domestic in the States as well, but tending through, the 60% also is a border operation in Manzanillo, Lázaro Cárdenas, Altamira, Veracruz, which it works, works pretty much the same. It's another.
Can you repeat that slower? Because I feel like people didn't get that.
Oh, the Manzanillo.
Yeah, that's a port.
That's a port in Mexico.
Is it on the Pacific side or the?
It's a Pacific side, the Manzanillo and Lázaro Cárdenas one.
And if you look at Guadalajara, is that north or south?
It's west.
It's east, west,
southwest. Southwest.
Yeah,
southwest of here.
Yeah.
And before we started doing the interview, you mentioned that the number of TEUs, which is 20 equivalent units, so it's like how they measure like just one container, 20-foot container.
One container.
It's a TEU, and that's how they measure the volume. You said that in how do you Manzanillo? Manzanillo, and what was there's like a long name for it too.
Manzanillo. The other one is Lázaro Cárdenas.
Okay, so there's two of them.
Two Pacific ports.
Two Pacific ports, and they're near each other?
Yeah, they're pretty near.
Okay.
Yeah, they're pretty close to each other.
There's also Ensenada as well, right?
Ensenada is in the northern Mexico, pretty close to Tijuana, but most of the Asian products go through Manzanillo.
Manzanillo, okay. And you said the volume there is equivalent to Laredo?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. It's under 1,000 TEUs less than Laredo, Texas.
Okay, and that's 1,000 less, what, per week, per month?
Per day.
Per day, okay.
Per day, so you got around 14,000 shipment cross in the Laredo border, and you get around from 12 to 13,000 TEUs through Manzanillo.
And that's mostly coming in from China?
Asia.
Asia.
China, Taiwan, Indonesia.
Are those products destined for the U.S.? Or
no, most of them are for the Mexican industry.
For the Mexican industry. So you do drayage essentially. You pick it up, the containers out of Manzanillo and the other part.
You got the name. Yeah, we do the drayage.
Okay.
Actually, RTC is a drayage company in Manzanillo.
And RTC is the asset side.
It's the asset company.
So you own the assets for the drayage.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, this is fascinating. You've expanded so quickly in 4 years. Like, I'm shocked. Do you think you were able to expand into Mexico so rapidly because of the nature of companies here, logistics companies where there's more room to grow? Do you think you would be able to replicate this in the United States, or is it because of the nature here?